Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 192 for Tuesday, the 9th of January 2024. Happy New Year, everybody! I'm your host, Mark Webb, gamertag, Piss on a D, Steam ID, Webby360G, and joining me today is...
Back from the COVID. Happy New Year, Nick Fights.
And as usual, it's Sensei Switch.
Now, this is a special show. This is the Game of the Year 2023 show. Now, all these big websites and places do their Game of the Year at like the beginning of December, which is like skipping a whole month's worth of games. So we do it properly here. We do it at the beginning of 2024. A little bit of a rundown of our favourite games played in 2023. Now, 2023 had a lot of games. A lot. And there's only so many hours in the day. So if games are not in our top lists, it's probably because we haven't had time to play them. Okay?
Oh, definitely.
So it's just to let people know there's a lot of good games that we still haven't been able to play. So it's just an individual list of our favourite games, the games we most enjoyed in 2023. Now, I don't know about you guys. It probably well, I'll get to it later. But who would like to go first?
I don't know.
Not me.
Do you want to go first, Darren, for a change? Since you always go last every single episode.
The entire year? Yeah, go for it.
Go for your top 10.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So we shall start at number 10, obviously.
Dun, dun. Drum roll.
I mean, let's be real. This has been a pretty damn good year for games.
It has.
There's still, like you said, there's games that I have on a backlog that I haven't actually put enough time into or played to actually be able to put them on a list properly. And then there's other games that technically aren't out for me just yet because I don't buy digital-only games.
Yeah.
And a couple of those games got high praise this year. So don't expect to see those on mine. So my number 10 is Fate Samurai Remnant.
Ooh. I've not played it.
It's a Koei Tecmo game. Basically kind of like a Warriors type of game, but with a story mode that is done on the Fate series, which is like your Fate Stay Night. Which was like the original, and then there's been like various iterations. It's basically an interesting concept of famous fighters from history have their spirits resurrected for a sort of tournament amongst wizards and people who are chosen. The winning pair basically get their wish granted. And
cool.
Outside of the kind of frustrating tutorial that never triggered the cutscene to end it, the first couple of times I played it, I found this quite a lot of fun. There's a fair bit of free roaming going around, doing other stuff, rather than just your sort of like button mashy kind of Musu Warriors combat. And there's some pretty epic and fun confrontations between the masters and their phantasms, as they're known. Noble phantasms, etc.
Cool, mate.
So yeah,
it looks good.
That is number 10. At number 9 is a game I have not finished, but I got damn close. But I got damn close to finishing it, and I still thoroughly enjoyed a lot of what I played. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the music. The gameplay per se, and that's Atomic Heart.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, quite a few people forgot this even came out this year.
I forgot about it. I didn't even... That was on Game Pass, I think, wasn't it? It was,
I believe, yes. Yeah. So Game Pass has had a good year this year.
It has, yeah.
In my opinion, for like not necessarily Microsoft's own games, but for other games that they've managed to acquire for it. Just from the get-go of this, I just love the aesthetic, the look, the feel. and everything to it. The only part of it I did not like was the platforming, and that's the main reason why I haven't finished the game, because I'm stuck in one of the last lot of the puzzle dungeons that you have to do to get your upgrades.
Right, okay.
And because the game doesn't allow you to save everywhere, it's like puzzle platforming, die, all the way back. Puzzle platform, die, all the way back. Fuck it, I'll play something else then. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it, and hence why it is on the list.
Yeah, I thought it was an alright game. I like the beginning. I got very big Bioshock vibes.
Yes, it takes a lot of inspirations from sort of other games.
Yeah, but then as soon as you got into like the open world, I just kind of for me, it fell very flat on its ass because I just got frustrated with all the annoying enemies that would just come back all the time, and you just couldn't just really explore without being pestered
The
constantly.
easiest way round it is to allow you to save the game whenever you want. Like a lot of the best games do, they allow you to push start in an open world area. You've got other stuff going on, maybe distractions, something happens. You just want to pause the game, save it, jump out, and go back rather than where the fuck's the last checkpoint? Where on earth is the next checkpoint I need to get to be able to save the game, and how long ago and far back it was? That to me was the main detriment to the entire experience. Like everything else about it, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And the buggy achievements when the game first came out were kind of frustrating as well, because it kept resetting your progress on a lot of the achievements every time you quit the game.
Oh, how annoying.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's 9. At number
Cool.
8, we have One Piece Odyssey, which came out in January.
Oh,
If I
wow.
remember. So quite a while ago, almost, well, maybe even a year ago. I don't know, like what part of January, beginning or end it was, but this is fantastic. It's a turn-based RPG, like does a lot of the cool JRPG sort of turn-based stuff that a lot of people like. It also had sort of like placements of yourself and your allies and the enemies when you're in the battles, and you can switch between them to show who takes different turns. So sometimes one of your allies is basically cordoned off on his own with a couple of people surrounding him, and you've got to jump in and sort of rescue them to get bonus XP, etc. And it had a pretty cool storyline, which was like a weird retelling of a lot of the old One Piece arcs from the manga and the anime and stuff, but they were slightly different. But this was also incorporated fully into the main storyline that's going on in the background over all of this as well. I just really enjoyed it and found it to be really cool, really well presented. Pretty much what I wanted out of the box, and I got it, so that was good.
Nice.
Number 7, Diablo 4.
Oh, I'm surprised it's so low down for you. You've played it loads.
Yes. Yeah, I see. I've been playing it a lot more recently, and I don't think that helped.
Right, okay.
So it's like I don't get me wrong, I love the game. It's fantastic. It is a really good fun game. There's still annoying things with it, which I've talked about. The build stuff where you can make something that's really good, but it's not an overpowered build that will just walk over everything. It takes too long to fucking level in this game. Like, even using like a 55% bonus XP buff, it still took me over 2.5 to 3 hours to level to the last level the other day on it, to get from 99 to 100.
Wow.
And it just felt like a slog. It was just like, come on, and just fucking get to 100 so I can be done, basically, and kind of move on. And recently, the lag on the game has been absolutely ridiculous. Like the rubber banding, especially in like the opening part of the game, like Kjovestad and all of the Arctic sort of area. my character was just moving all over the place. Enemies are teleporting, and I've got a hardcore character that I haven't actually touched for a while. But I was just literally like, there's no way in hell I would ever risk playing with a hardcore character while the game's acting like this. It's literally almost like nigh on unplayable. Now, when I teleported to some of the other zones, it was kind of fine. But every time I'm back in like that opening sort of area and everything, it just rubber bands and lags everywhere. And I don't like the way that it forces that because the game's always online. Because they wanted to treat it like an MMO.
See, I don't get any of those rubber banding issues. I think the game is pretty smooth from what I play.
When it runs normally, it's fine. But when you do get that rubber banding, it's like, oh.
I think Diablo 4 is really good. Now, I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with the game throughout 2023 because I bought it at launch, bought it twice because I bought it on PC and Xbox. I'm a big fan of the previous games. Now, the main campaign, absolutely brilliant, absolutely loved it. And then I kind of dropped off, and then the first season I was just like, oh, this is rubbish. Didn't even really play it. And then we had the second season and loved playing it again because there was a few people on the Discord and you as well, Darren, and we all jumped on every now and again and had some good sessions, and that really brought my enjoyment back into the game throughout towards the end of the year. So I think it made a little bit of a comeback for me personally. Now I know what you're saying about the leveling because I think I'm around level 70 something, and I'm at that point where I just can't be asked now. You know what I mean? So I understand what you're saying, but it's still I think it's a good game. I think they've done well on it. To be honest, I think they learned from the mistakes of the first season and brought it back quite well for the second season. Now, the only other negative I will say though is the game is really there has like specific builds, and we've talked about this before, where you get those websites which tell you a sort of build to build your character to be massively overpowered. So you just get loads of people just running around with these builds, whereas I like to make my own kind of style, and sometimes I feel very underpowered, which is a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I mean, by the time I got to level 100, don't get me wrong, I've got a couple of moves that, when triggered together, can absolutely decimate like massive groups of enemies. It's actually better for me to have big, large groups of enemies than it is to have just a couple clumped together.
Yeah.
But then there's other times when you feel less powerful than you did at the very start of the game.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
You just think, I'm max level.
Yeah. Frustrating. But yeah, it's a good game, mate.
Yeah, hence why it's still number 7, so
yeah, it's still good.
Still high up. 2 seconds. All right, there we go. Let's get to somewhere safe. And my number 6, this might be quite surprising for some people, that it's actually low down. It's technically out of my top 5.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Shock, horror. You were banging on about how much you loved it in the year as well.
It is a fucking great game. I just think the ones above it are better games.
That's fair enough, mate. Yeah.
And it also loses a little bit of that luster because it's also a game I've played before.
Yeah.
I kind of knew what I was getting to a degree.
I think I did a good job with it. I mean, I never played through it originally.
Yeah.
So it was all fresh for me, and I thought it was a fantastic game. But yeah, I know what you mean about remasters. I do tend to mark them down a little bit because they are a remaster at the end of the day. Whereas this is a remake, I guess, but it's still like the same story and stuff. So no, I completely understand it.
Yeah, I mean, one of my main reasons for knocking it down a little bit than what it could have been is you get less content in it than you did the original game all those years ago.
That's fair enough. That
So
makes
even
sense,
though
mate,
they
yeah.
added little bits here and there, it was just the classic sort of like modern gaming: cut content, sell it back to you, drip feed it to you through DLC,
Yeah,
etc.
didn't they add some Ada Wong DLC which you had to pay for?
Yeah,
Yes.
that came out. That was £8.
I mean,
Okay.
that's a good price. Like I will
Yes,
It's
say,
pretty
like their
good. Yeah, it's
story
about 5
DLC,
hours worth.
yeah, their story DLCs have actually been reasonably priced. I'll
hmm
say the same thing with the one they did for Resident Evil 8 as well. That was pretty damn good for what you got.
Yeah.
But yeah, really well done, really well made. Looks fantastic on the RE engine, which I think is a really nice looking engine
It
anyway,
is,
that
yeah.
Capcom used. There's a lot of games now that run on the RE engine. It's pretty much their in-house engine
Yeah.
that they have. Yeah, it was great. It's still pretty pissed off with a couple of the bosses that I found not as much fun on the remake, and definitely like the design had taken a big hit in comparison to the original.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was a good game. Yeah, it was a
fantastic.
good game, mate,
Yeah,
yeah.
fantastic game. There we go. The meat and potatoes, as they say, the top five.
Dun dun
The top five.
dun.
So at number 5, I'll give you a little hint, see if you can guess. I thought this game was going to be terrible. I was really worried about this game when I heard certain things about the development process and going through readings to make sure people weren't offended and all of this kind of shit with it. And it really, really put a stinker on it. But obviously, the more we got closer to the game, I was like, this looks actually fun. I hope it's really fun. Please be good. Play multiplayer with other people. And yeah, the multiplayer on it wasn't great. There was a little bit of lag with the game that I had personally when I played it with other people. But yeah, Dead Island 2.
Yes, it was
Oh,
it was
that came out
decent.
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, really surprising. I think a lot of people were expecting it to be a bit of a clusterfuck, considering this game went through multiple developers, multiple
Yeah.
iterations, rewrites, redos, this, that, and everything else. Went from being kind of like a semi-open world game to being like just contained to little sort of like hub areas that you travel between via
Yeah.
loading screens. But it still kept that atmosphere. It still kept the fun gameplay. It still kept you kind of on that weird kind of edge of your seat gameplay as well at times, where
Yeah.
you could have moments where you were going along and things could just go to shit in an instant. And other moments where you just felt like absolutely dominating over everything that's going on and you felt fully under control. Yes, there was a couple of characters in there that were kind of annoying and grated on your nerves a bit, but I think that was the point.
Yeah, that
It
one
was,
girl who was the bloody
yeah,
streamer. Oh my god. Very
yeah.
annoying.
It was kind of a satirical take on like America per se during like a zombie apocalypse. And to be honest, like we've had that kind of thing before. I'd love it to go for more of a proper serious dark tone with it.
Yeah.
Because obviously everything that's going on around everything else is absolutely horrifying and horrendous, like vomit inducing basically what's going on. And there, like you say, you've got that streamer girl character who just seemingly doesn't give a shit about anything that's going on.
Yeah.
And is just kind of stuck in her own weird like head bubble or whatever it is. It's just bizarre. But yeah, really enjoyed the combinations of all the different weapon types, the attachments, the getting your best weapons. I will say, like, although they say the legendary weapons and stuff in the game are amongst some of the best, I hardly ever touch them.
Yeah.
I generally used to just use my own created, crafted weapons. And it had some fantastic systems as well, like the sort of like the badass rank kind of system that they had going on as well. So when you went through the game with one of the characters, as you're creating or completing a lot of the different challenges on the different logs and stuff, you get bonuses and stat increases and things like that,
Yeah.
which carry over to your other characters.
That's cool. Yeah.
when you start games with those.
Nice. Yeah, I felt like I rushed through it a bit too much because the people I was playing with were rushing it. So part of me would like to play through it again, just at a decent pace, because I didn't do all the side missions and stuff. But it's just one, it's finding the time, and then two, it's getting the people together to do it with. Almost a year later. But it's still,
Yeah.
I think it's a decent game.
Yeah, see, I think I played through about 95% of it solo.
Yeah.
And it did help, just like those days where I'm like, you know what, I've got about 4 or 5 hours here. I'll just put it on and just have a long old session on it.
Yeah.
Get some bits and bobs done, run up and down, do some side quests. There's a fair amount of side quests and other missions and stuff in it. Again, if this is a game that you can see for like 25 quid, or it hits Game Pass or PS Plus or whatever, and you haven't tried it, I thoroughly recommend it.
Yeah.
Trying it out, even if it's just to flay the flesh off of like random freaks in the game. Because it has got probably one of the most brutal sort of like body dismemberment mechanic things I've seen in a game.
Oh, yeah. It is decent. Yeah, that is good fun. Well, go on, Dan. What's your next one?
My number 4.
Dun,
Street Fighter 6.
Oh, I'm not surprised it's on there. It's on your top 5.
Yes. Beat 'em ups are like my forte. I used to love them back in the day. It was like my favourite game genre. And this is probably the best of the bunch we got this year by far, in my opinion. It took the usual traditional sort of Street Fighter mode. It added the online mode arena thing with a created character where you can run around, and then it also added like a weird story mode, which was it was a bit silly. I imagine someone like Dan would be like, it was fucking stupid, but so I did like an open world city that you could literally run around with a creative character. That city also had like tons of like weird exploration to it, little side quests you could do, clothing you could unlock, you could meet all the different characters from the game and train under them as like a student. And then you could choose and select different moves that you wanted from each master to put into your arsenal for your created character. So you could basically create a Frankenstein using multiple different characters' moves, super moves, aerial specials, etc. And it was just done in a really well presented package.
It's just fun,
in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I haven't pumped a load of hours into it, but I like when I do play it. It is just pure arcade fun times. The open world section is pretty cool. I like that arena mode though, where you can go and play the arcade cabs of like old Street Fighter games and other arcade games and stuff. It's quite cool.
So I'm hoping they continue to update that and actually add like other traditional arcade games, like because they haven't got Darkstalkers in there or Bionic Commando or anything like that as of yet. Like they had sort of like Magic Sword. They've had like Street Fighter Alpha and stuff in there, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
And Super Puzzle Fighter, which is kind of lesser well known game. There's also
I got that on Sega Saturn. It's a brilliant game.
All right, yeah. There's also plenty of little Easter eggs in there if you've got like history with other sort of like Capcom titles from the past. You will bump into like a load of weird created characters that represent characters from other Capcom games while you're in the world tour mode, we shall say.
Nice.
Which is a nice nod. But yeah. So my number 3 is kind of like a weird cheat. Which probably gives away what it probably is. So this isn't a game that technically came out this year.
What?
But the actual DLC for the game did come out this year, and the entire game got rebooted around that DLC. the game got. Oh, what was that?
That was me.
All right, but yeah. So Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty.
Not surprised. I think it's worthy, mate. And I know we normally say, oh yeah, don't put DLCs in as game of the year, blah 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 blah. But to be fair, that DLC is like its own game, like a game in its own right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't just come with that area, it came with multiple game changes, new upgrades, vehicles, a hell of a lot of stuff. I mean, if I was taking the entire game as one package to have come out this year, it'd be number one for sure. Because I still think Cyberpunk, for me personally, is the best open world immersive experience I've had in gaming for years.
Since GTA 5.
See, no, not really. Like as much as I like the GTA games, like I will always prefer like something that's generally in first person.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Over something that's in third person. And just it's a game that whenever you stick it on and play it, it just impresses me. Like the visuals, the voice acting, how everything looks, how you can just literally go from one side of the city all the way to the other with virtually no loading screens whatsoever. Like just ring
feels
people
alive.
up on the face. Yeah, the whole city does. Yeah, just generally feel alive. They did an update again recently. I think it was like about a month or so back, which was after obviously Phantom Liberty released, which added even more stuff to the game as well. So you can now ride on the subways.
Yeah.
You can invite your other partner character over to your apartment, etc. So they're just always sort of like just slowly, little by little, fine tweaking and tuning it. And yeah, the game did launch like shit, although I wasn't one of the people that had massive issues with it when it first launched.
Yeah. It's
Probably
mainly
due
the
to the
last
fact
gen stuff systems.
yeah,
really.
it was
Yeah, my
because I was
mate got
playing on
the PS4 version, and he tried to play that again just lately, and it didn't work. So he got the because he's done his PC since then, so he got the upgraded and all stuff. And yes, different game. I played it this year for the first time. It was a really good game.
I mean, for me
mate,
as well, like the whole the way the characters in the world interact with you and everything is something I wish a lot more other games did. There's none of this like, I need to speak to this person. Hello, person. I will just slowly turn around while the camera zooms in on my face and I stand there like a robot and just flap my gums. Whereas like the characters in this just carry on going about their daily day-to-days while they're chatting and doing other bits and bobs. You might be sitting opposite someone in a restaurant having a conversation and they're ordering food and there's things going on in the background, etc. I love it. It's fantastic, Cyberpunk.
Yes, it is.
And Phantom Liberty was fantastic as well.
It was a fucking
Added
brilliant.
more weird characters, more weird stuff going on, more missions, more loot, more clothing.
As I say, they brought in Idris Elba, and his character was fucking brilliant, I thought.
Yeah. I even love like the opening part of the game where you meet him and everything, and it's the characters in it aren't stupid. Like that's another thing that I like. That the actual characters generally will act like real people would.
Yep.
They're not just going to go blundering into stuff. They are going to be cautious. They're going to be asking you proper, truthful questions about certain bits and bobs. They're not going to trust you. You're not necessarily going to trust them. I mean, just think of the world you're in. Like, you basically need to look over your shoulder, like, every single day in that city.
Yeah.
Because you never know what the hell's going on. So anyway, I've banged on enough. Yep. Phantom Liberty, my number 3.
Cool.
So this was the dice roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've probably worked out what these are.
Top 2 is always hard.
Top 2 is very hard because they could both be number 1.
Yeah.
Like, have them both at number 1 quite easily. And if they'd have released the separate games and I had sat there and talked to my mate about it and had a long, hard sort of discussion, and that's what made me choose out of the 2 and where they go.
Yep.
So my number 2 is Final Fantasy 16.
Oh my goodness, it's not number
Yeah, exactly.
one.
There's people that go, "Oh, he hasn't got a Final Fantasy game. He's number 1." No.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, Final Fantasy 16, a game I've been looking forward to for years. Being made and created by one of my favourite developers, favourite game producers, Naoki Yoshida, who's the head person behind Final Fantasy 14, and he pulled together a load of his team and a lot of people that worked on the expansion, especially like Heaven's Ward expansion to put this game together. It's not a traditional Final Fantasy per se. It is very much action focused.
Yeah.
In fact, the entire game is very action focused. There is RPG there, but it's kind of like more like RPG elements in the background.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Devil May Cry kind
Yeah.
of comparison, I would say, on the fighting.
Well, they brought on the main guy from Devil May Cry to actually help with the combat and everything in the game. And visually, I will say it looks very fantastic. It's very flashy, especially like the big epic sort of set pieces and stuff in the game.
Yeah,
that I absolutely love. Soken being the guy behind the music. Again, I think he's like one of the best in the business at the moment when it comes to sort of like music.
Yeah.
For video games. God, there isn't really too much you can particularly say without like spoiling a ton of the game.
Well, I will say, I've played it again recently because they've released some DLC.
Yes.
I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago, and there's 2 bits of DLC that have been confirmed. Second one's coming out around June, July. And this first one I really enjoyed as well, so it's just good that they've given people reasons to go back to it because, like especially towards the end of the year, it gave me just a more fresh perspective on it. And, me and you were massive Final Fantasy fans, and I'd been really looking forward to 16 as well. And is it like for me? Also, I'm not going to say where it is on my list, but I found it really hard to place because the year's been so good. And I, by the sounds of it, I've played games that you haven't played as well. Which are up there as well. But yeah, 16. I loved it from start to finish, and I like that it's different from previous titles because it just felt fresh. I really like the world. I really like the story because it felt very Game of Thrones in many parts. It was good, really, really good. And I think the only thing that lets me down, and this is a personal thing, with the Final Fantasy titles at the minute, is they're all exclusive to PS5. And the only reason I say that is because I would just love more people to be able to play them. 16 hasn't even hit PC. But I personally would like to see them, like 7 remake and 16 and etc. hit Xbox, just because it would just give more people access. That's all. It's not being a fanboy because obviously I played them on the PlayStation, but not everyone has multiple systems, right? So that's the only thing. But
franchises do stem from the era where certain franchises just literally were exclusive to one platform.
Yeah,
that was the way it was.
Mm. But no, it's definitely worthy to be in your top 3, mate. I think it's a fantastic game. It really, really is.
I mean, number 2, like I say, any other year it would have been number 1.
Yeah,
depending, and it literally was my number 1 until this week.
What? Okay, so tell me what is your number 1 then. Hang on, just give me a second.
Yeah.
We just need to do this.
That's not a drum roll. That's like
the wrong drum.
I know. I don't have a drum roll. It's just
Oh.
on Discord. That's all I've got. I'm sorry. Yeah, there is no. There's nothing like that. I've got this though.
Yeah, no.
No. All right. Anyway,
Not.
that's the
So yeah,
silliness over.
this is another good reason why you do the Game of the Year show early January
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
Christmas,
Yeah. But
because I
yeah.
played this game over Christmas and I
Excellent.
finished it this week.
Yeah. Oh.
It's Lies of P.
Whoa, I'm not surprised.
It's This game is fucking amazing. I kind of have fallen hard into it.
Yeah.
I found myself thinking about it constantly, like theorizing over the characters, what's going on, just appreciating, like I said before, the whole art style that the game has, listening to the soundtrack when I'm not playing it, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Souls game, and what some people are actually deeming to be one of the hardest Souls games to have come out. It uses obviously multiple things from various other games. It leans heavily into the whole Bloodborne aesthetic. A lot of the other bits and bobs from other FromSoft games, including things like the parrying system, which is from Sekiro, although it's not quite as manic in Lies of P as it is in Sekiro. It's more methodical, but it can also make it a hell of a lot harder because you're fighting machines that can twist and contort, so they don't necessarily hit when you're expecting them to hit. There's quite a lot of delay to some of the attacks, which
Yeah.
does make sense when you consider you're fighting like mechanical creatures most of the time. But when you get the timings down and you're slowly methodically picking your way through the levels, unlocking the different shortcuts, doing all the different like small little side missions and everything, I just found myself getting more and more and more sort of pulled into the game. It also has some cool, interesting features, like you have a robotic arm, which you can switch out for various different versions. So you can have a puppet string, which can pull enemies to you, or you can pull yourself to them. You can use that to launch off enemies to land like a big, powerful downward attack that will knock them over. You could also have a cannon, which fires like a heat-seeking, delayed timed mine onto enemies. Or you could turn your arm into a flamethrower or something that can spit acid over enemies to slowly eat away at them. You also have the ability to take your weapons, albeit not the boss weapons, and break them down into separate components. So you can separate the blade and the hilt. And by doing this, you can change your weapons play styles completely. So your blade is basically what the attacks will do from the weapon, and the hilt for the weapon is generally what the move set of the weapon will be. You want to stick like an acid knife on the end of a spear pole, go for it. You want to stick a hammerhead on the end of a sword hilt, go for it. Try it out, see what it does. You've got like in your hub area at the start of the game, you've got an area where you can go outside, and that enables you to test all your different stuff out on test dummies and things there, including parry timing on one of the dummies that will actually fight back against you. Yeah, I love it. I am finished the game, obviously, early last week or early this week that's just gone, and I'm already a third of the way through in New Game Plus.
Wow.
Are you wearing a Christmas hat?
No, I'm not. I think that looks stupid. And I will say, New Game Plus in this game is pretty cool because, just like a lot of the other games, you retain a lot of your stuff. Most of it will carry over. But instead of generally picking up like the same armors and amulets, you will pick them up on New Game Plus, but there'll be +1 versions of them, so they'll be slightly better. Which makes sense because everything in New Game Plus has more health, does more damage. and occasionally do extra attacks that they didn't necessarily do that much in the original playthrough. So it keeps everything fresh. There's also extra collectibles and things that you can only get by playing the game through on New Game Plus. And it also kind of incentivizes you because there's 3 different endings to the game. Thankfully, on my first run, I got what's in quotes known as the best ending. But then there's like a middle ending and the bad ending, which is like proper bad. Like we shall say.
Brilliant,
yeah, I could gush about it for ages. And the fact that this is on Game Pass, play it, try it. Like, this is like, I'm going to say something here that will surprise a lot of people. I play a lot of the Souls games. I have never finished one.
Wow.
This is the first time one I've actually proper stuck with, and I finished it. And it's difficult, but there are multiple ways you can get around a lot of the difficulty in this game, per se. Learning to obviously dodge, parry, your timings. You've got the occasional throwable that you can use. You've got your Legion arms. I mean, on the last boss of the game, I say in quotes last boss because there's another boss after the last boss, which is the one I'm actually on about. I went in with multiple different combinations of stuff to try against him because I was struggling, because it was quite an arsey fight. It took me about 7 or 8 attempts to beat him. And I just love that, where you're just like, right, let's try this combination, let's try that, let's go in to try this. And I did laugh because as I came out of the game and I was in chat with a friend at the time, I looked and was like, oh shit, I had Ergo increase as one of my amulets equipped instead of my defense up. So I basically made that last part of the game harder for myself by having a pointless amulet on that I didn't really need.
Lols.
Little heads up as well, when you do finish the game on any of the playthroughs, do not accept straight away to go into New Game Plus, come out, and it will put you back in the hub area of the game. Depending on maybe certain decisions and things you've done in the game, you'll be able to interact with certain things that are then now in that world, which will bag you a couple of extra trophies or achievements, depending on the platform you're on. And then you can just access New Game Plus from like the Stargazer in the hub area afterwards and carry on that way. Yeah.
Top tips from Darren.
and the fact as well that this game is by a developer whose only other credit, as far as we're aware, or I'm aware, is doing the ports of Bless Unleashed.
Oh, wow.
Which was like a dodgy MMO that I tried out from like about 2 or 3 years back. And then they come out with this, which is just like the ultimate love letter to sort of like a FromSoft game with an absolutely fantastic twist on the whole sort of like Pinocchio narrative and like dark, bizarre fairy tales with a very steampunk style vibe to it.
Excellent.
So yeah, that is my top 10. And
fantastic. No, that's really good, Darren. A few surprises here and there, but no, good. Right, before we move on, Nick, I think you want to go next, yeah?
Yeah, might as well, because I've only got, like, not many.
Right, I just want to go for a piss, so I'll be back in 1 minute, and then we'll go.
No worries. I can go and grab a drink then. I was getting dry mouth when that was all going on.
Yeah, I think that's the longest you've talked in, like, ever.
Oh, right. Oh. The only downside is the guy that I was like chatting to about the likes of P. I couldn't really chat to him too much about it because he's still stuck on one of the bosses.
Yeah, I see my mate play it. That's all right. It's just sort of a bit done with him. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're not literally for everyone.
I'm back.
So,
he's back. Cool. Right, Nick, talk to me.
Talk to you. Well, hang on. I've kind of got 8, but a couple of them might be cheating.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I said I was going to do this.
Go for it, mate.
GoldenEye HD. I mean, it
Did that
technically
come out in
came
2023?
Yep.
Was that yeah, it came out on the Switch and the Xbox, didn't it?
Yep, it came out this year
Oh,
finally. Nice. And yeah, but basically I only played 8 games that came out this year, so that's the best I can do. But yeah, it's GoldenEye. We've all played it. It's like nearly 30 years old. And
That made
it's
me
still
feel
fun.
old.
It's still fun now. It's kind of annoying that they never you could only play the multiplayer sort of thing on the Switch. You couldn't play it on Xbox. So that's stupid.
Yep.
But plus, like, I mean, even though like to have it more authentic, when I had it like on Switch as well, I've got the N64 controller.
Excellent.
To try and play it like that, which I thought, oh, this is awesome. And then I remembered, wait, the N64 controller's shit.
Yeah.
And I used the Pro controller. So I'm like, damn it, that's like 30, 40 quid wasted or however much it was. But they keep coming into stock and then out of stock really quickly, don't they?
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted one because it was hard to get one. Not that I actually wanted it, but yeah, it's GoldenEye. And the next one, I don't know if I'm allowed because this is DLC that came out for a game that came out last year, which God of War, the Valhalla DLC for Ragnarok.
No, not allowed. Not
It's
allowed.
not allowed.
No.
Oh, but can you?
I would say it is technically its own game mode.
It kind of is, and it's free. But I don't know. Maybe if you paid for it, it would count as a new game. But if it's free. Maybe, but Webby's decision is final. Webby hates God of War. He hates.
I actually own it, but I've only played it for about 2 hours.
It's like we said about a lot of these PlayStation sequels.
They're shite.
I won't say it's shite. It's just more of the same.
Yeah,
which is good because why would you completely change it to what wasn't before? What wasn't. What people enjoyed, but it's like, oh, I've done this.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's been expelled. So my top 7. So 6 is so you're just expelling games that
It's fine. You still got to talk about it. Which is the whole point of something you liked.
I'll talk about it next week. How good it is. But so number 6. And I fucking hate this game, Starfield. It's fucking wank. I spent about 6 hours playing this shit, and I want it back. And I got it on Game Pass, and I felt that bad. I let my Game Pass expire, and I'm not getting it again out of protest for Starfield being shit. The Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be shit because they're going to take away everything, and yeah, it's just not a good game. I know some people enjoyed it, but they're all wrong. But it's just, I wanted to enjoy it, and 50% of the game I enjoyed, like the running around, the exploring, the shooting. It's probably the best shooting mechanics in any one of these games. Like Fallout and all stuff like that. It's probably better than all of them. The graphics are pretty decent. It's just all the bullshitty menus and trying to explore space to get to that part. It just felt like a job. And I was like,
"This is your one of your games of the year."
Yeah, because I've only played 7 games.
Well,
I bet God of War Ragnarok DLC is feeling quite depressing now.
Yeah.
It was worse than Starfield.
now I would like. I would like to disagree with Nick slightly. I'm not going to disagree with everything because.
Are you going to agree with it later when you get up to your top 47 games?
So, Starfield was not, in my opinion, not as good as what we were all expecting. I'll give you that.
No, I think most people have admitted it's kind of a disappointment from what we all hoped it would be.
However, I played it for over 50 hours, completed it, and actually enjoyed it. Now,
did you enjoy it with all the bits I didn't like, or in spite of?
No, right now, this is with a caveat, right? I only enjoyed it because I could play it on PC and mod it.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I had infinite storage capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, infinite stamina, so I could just sprint forever, right? Because those are little annoying. Well, actually, large annoyances for me in that game is you can hardly carry anything, and it's just a pain in the ass. And the traveling was a little bit disappointing because it's all just one fucking big map where you fast travel.
Yeah, it's just a menu. It's a picture. It's an MPEG
Yeah.
of a map.
But the locations I thought were decent, not amazing. But it was enjoyable. Now, I think we got spoiled with Skyrim because Skyrim was so fucking good. And the thing with Skyrim is, you get that, like, I found when I played it, I had that sense of awe and wonder when I was just traversing the world, discovering things, getting distracted with all these, like, caves and things going on in the world. Whereas in Starfield, you don't get that because it's literally like fast travel to a place, do the stuff in the place. There's nothing else to see in that. You got like a town or a city or something like that, but then outside of that, it's just barren planet, which is what it would be, right? But I think they focused too much on selling it when they were talking about it. Oh, it's got 1,000 planets. You could go and see them all. They should have just like put the whole game in, say, a small area of space and had about, I don't know, 10 planets or something, and have them like loads of shit going on. Quality over quantity. Yeah. And I felt like the shipbuilding was pointless. The space flight was pointless, apart from the odd main mission where you had to do your space battles, and one of them was really difficult. I know Peeps complained about it because he kept on dying over and over again. But I still thought it was an enjoyable game, even with all those shortcomings. But
there's definitely fun to be had.
Yeah.
But it is a shame. Like, I'm kind of in the same boat of, like, I love that studio that make the Elder Scrolls games and stuff, and the fact that the last good game, in my opinion, that studio put together that I really, really liked was Skyrim, and that was a decade ago, is kind of depressing.
That is. Did it come out in 2013, Skyrim?
2011.
Like,
it was 2011?
Yeah,
no.
11th of November 2011. Like 11.
Oh my god, that's even more depressing.
It's only 13 years ago. Well, 12 years and 2 months.
I still remember going to Eurogamer and seeing it there and being, oh my god. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, Nick, what's your number 5 then? Or number 4? We're up to. Yeah, it's number 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
In official game of the year. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but I've started it. I played it for about 5-6 hours. Spider-Man 2.
Oh, someone's got to have it in their list.
This was my number 1 game of the year.
Oh, I don't think it was.
No.
But yeah, like I said, I've only played about 5-6 hours, but I'm enjoying it. I mean, the graphics are superb. And like I said, it's a bit odd because I wasn't going to get it right away, but then I got given it for Christmas, so I thought, I might as well. And I had a choice between starting this, Hogwarts Legacy, or Jedi Survivor. So I was like, I'll play Spider-Man, because I just watched the newest film on Netflix the other week, so I thought, I'll play that. And yeah, I mean, it's more Spider-Man. Like I said, I played Miles Morales a few months ago and enjoyed that, but the only thing's, like, so far, like I said, it's a little bit harder than the first couple, because they've changed up the combat a little bit, where normally you just press circle to dodge, like you would in the Arkham games. But now they've put in, so you've got to press one of, I can't remember if it's L1 or R1. So instead of just dodge, you have to parry as well. And I haven't quite worked out what you dodge and what you parry. So I keep dodging stuff I'm supposed to parry, and I just keep getting killed. And I think I've died more times in this, even though I'm off the easiest level. Which, me, normally I'd go on the easiest level, but I don't think you can actually die on the easiest difficulty.
No, there was a setting where you can never go. Never get
so I'm one up from there, so not quite that bad. But yeah, it's weird. It's like I said, you normally see the little flash over his head, don't you? And you just press circle and he'll dodge. But
tingly.
yeah, and then you've got they've kind of done what God of War did. So instead of just dodge, you've got different colour dodges and parries. So it's like yellow. Oh, you can probably dodge that. Red, which means it's undodgeable. So I don't know. That means that you have to parry it, but it's just a little bit difficult to get going. Obviously, because I'm getting over COVID and stuff like that, my reaction times are a bit slow, and someone was distracting me. You know, the sun was out. You know, loads of other excuses why I'm not shit at games. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I did a few bits like the what was it like the because you swap between Miles and Peter Parker, Miles Morales and Peter Parker, so you play as both Spider-Men boys this time, which is kind of cool. Like I said, I don't know how long. Apparently, it's not that long. I think I said it's about 15 hours. I thought, well, I played it for 5 already, and not much happened. Not much has happened yet. Because like I said, it's in the box. Venom's supposed to show up at some point, which would be kind of cool. But yeah, I can't think. You know, I did some of the missions for Miles where we've done one of the universities, and I had to help a Asian guy ask his black boyfriend out to the homecoming prom. So I'm like, of course I do.
Game of the year.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, that's the only thing so far. I'm like, kind of forcing it. You know, it's like they were doing it to say, oh, I bet you thought we weren't going to put gay characters in. I was like, mate, nobody's cares for over 20 years. It's just like these companies now have decided they've got to try and do that. And I'm like, mate, the rest of the world, well, most of the rest of the world has already caught up and just doesn't even care or pay attention to stuff like that. Because I watched that Netflix show people are talking about, Fool Me Once, which is on there. And there's
Never heard of it.
Yeah, well, it's only just out like last week. It's starting to get, but it's just like a who done it. It's kind of like a BBC drama, but they put it on Netflix basically, and had someone from used to be in either Coronation Street or EastEnders years ago, and Jennifer Saunders is in it. She's looking old now, still would, but yeah, but in there they had a reveal in that one, a policeman. I was like, oh, you had a date last night. What was her name? And he went, his name was Lance, and I'm like, and they just like paused. I was like, nobody gives a fuck. Just get on with the show. I want to know who shot
Just wait until you go back to old media and realise that those characters have always been there. That just no one made a big fucking deal over.
Because nobody made a fuss. It's just they're making a fuss. Nobody else cares. But yeah, game looks good, shiny. I still can't get HDR to work properly on the PS5 on my Samsung TV. I've tried it on my new LG TV, which I bought just before Christmas.
Right. What it might be is I had an issue. Sorry to go off on a different tangent here. I had an issue with I had an issue with the HDR on my Xbox One.
Yeah.
Like the other week, I basically unplugged everything, gave everything a good clean. While I was like doing a bit of spring cleaning, and when I plugged it all back in, like my HDR looked terrible for my Xbox for some reason. Like it looked
over it.
Well, no, it didn't look dark. It just looked like too vibrant or like washed out and weird.
Yeah.
It didn't look decent. And then obviously I've got one of these weird Samsung ones that whenever I switch to Xbox, I get like this weird game bar thing come up along the bottom. With all this like weird information that can do stuff especially with Xbox, because it's got like a Xbox Live tie-in thing with it. And what it had done is it had actually turned game mode off on that channel.
Or turned it on, you mean?
No, it had turned it off.
Ooh.
So when game mode's on, like the HDR and all that lot looks good, and like the way it's supposed to be. But for some reason on that channel, when I'd unplugged everything and put it back in, it had toggled it off. So as soon as I turned it back on, it looked exactly how it always used to.
I suppose this depends what you're used to, rather than because like your sort of game mode seemed to wash everything out, but to make it smoother. But I mean, that's just my opinion. But I don't know. Maybe the PS5 just doesn't work with anything that's not a Sony TV.
I don't know.
It's not the end of the world, is it?
Go into your settings and just check to see if it's
I've
game mode
tried
active on it.
Probably about a year to get this. I've tried several YouTube videos. Sometimes it looked better, sometimes it looks worse. I think more than anything, it's because the home screen on the PS5 goes really dark and dull. that makes me think that, I mean, maybe the actual gameplay is okay, but then if I turn it off, everything, I mean, on one of these, I like everything to be really vivid and the contrast and the colours really way up. You know, I know, I suppose that's, yeah, I know it's not, in theory, you know, like the natural way to watch things, but then have you ever tried putting your TV on, like, you know, through the default settings and you put it on, like, movie mode? And it's got like that orange tint to it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I can't watch it. You know, that's kind of what it does when I turn HDR. Like I said, it's not the end of the world, because if I turn it off and it looks better in my head than if it doesn't matter, does it? I suppose it's just weird, because when I put the Series X, the One X, and the PS4 Pro on that TV, and I turn HDR on, it goes the other way. It makes everything look more colourful, more vibrant. Whereas the PS5, it works backwards. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I mean, I've tried so much. Maybe there's a setting within a setting within a setting. And, you know, I mean, instead about the game mode, maybe it's turning the game mode on or something on somewhere on the TV. But, I mean, I can't.
Yeah, the only other way around it is to, like, recalibrate your HDR.
Yeah, which I've tried. It's hard. I mean, it says like go left and right until this is barely visible, and that's barely visible. I mean, like today, I've now plugged in my Switch to my new TV to the LG, and it recognised. Oh, even though I'm going for a capture card, it goes, "Oh, you've got this is a Nintendo Switch. We'll turn game mode on." I'm like, "No, turn it off. I don't want game mode on." And it's more like, you know, I just want the TV.
You should, if you're playing games on a TV, you should have game mode on 100%.
I don't like it.
You'll end up with latency. You'll end up with lag and latency. You may or may not notice it, but definitely on some of the older Samsungs that I had, with game mode off, I would notice like frame drops, and games just generally not performing the way they should.
I mean, maybe I might say this is a new TV, so I'm still playing with the settings. But you know, like my other TV I've had for 5 years, so you know I've got it set just how I want.
But yeah, anyway, should we get back to the games?
Oh yeah, game of the year, aren't we? Yeah, Spider-Man. 5-6 hours in, number 5. So number 4, I don't think it's Super Mario RPG on Switch.
Nice.
Another remaster.
I'm right near the end of that. Just before Christmas, before I caught the COVID, I got right towards the end. I think I've got 1 star left to get. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying this. I mean, it's exactly what I thought. It was a remake of an old, you know, mid-90s JRPG. It's the usual, you know, turn-based mechanics, you know, the fight and wait for this. I suppose the only thing that's kind of irritating is, and which is odd for Nintendo, you get a little bit of slowdown with the frame rates, which I know the Switch is like, 7 years old now?
Probably or is it older than that.
2017, and so 7 years old nearly. But I mean, they don't. Like I said, I don't think they made this themselves on Nintendo. I think they outsourced it. But they've had a few patches, so it's not as noticeable as it was before. Because I started again just to see after the patch started a new game, which I noticed, right at the start, and it's a little bit better. So obviously they've patched it out a bit. But that's just unlike Nintendo. And the only thing that's kind of annoying, I mean, it's good that you can use the new music and the soundtrack, or use the old one, like from the SNES, which obviously I'm using the new one. And I know this is extremely 90s, and it was on most of the games we played. It's the same battle music pretty much all the time, unless it's a boss fight. So I'm going to like all these different levels on the map, you know, like the volcano level, the jungle level, and it's the same battle song, which the first like few hours I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying this song, I'm whistling it, I'm enjoying it, I like it. And then after like 15-20 hours, I was like, this song is doing my fucking head in, I'm going to put it on mute and listen to something else. You know, I suppose, you know, because let's say with Final Fantasy, it was pretty much the same battle music for that for a lot of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously that's what it was for the time, because you know you'd only got 700 meg on a CD, so they could only put so much uncompressed or whatever audio So I think they did say a lot of like Final Fantasy VII and those RPGs. The majority of the the files were FMVs and the music, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
So you sort of got it. But in this, today now you've got these Switch carts, which are what 16 gig, 32 gig, or whatever they are. I think the Zelda one's a 64 gig cart. So like I said, they could have put some more different battle music, but maybe they just wanted to stay true to the original. I don't know. But yeah, enjoying it, and I should hopefully be finished that within the next week. But yeah, it's
Nice.
a good game. You played it a bit though, didn't you, Webby?
No, I've not played it. I don't have it.
You play it. You don't have. What do you mean you don't have it? You have every Switch game.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
Nope. You stopped doing that, or is it broke?
That Switch is broken.
Oh no! You'll have to get it fixed, won't you?
No, it's in pieces.
Oh shit! Oh no! Someone's gonna have to start buying Switch games now.
Nah, just don't play it. The kids, my kids, do not even play the Switch. All they want to play is the Xbox.
Oh, grown up, haven't they? But then, can't you still play Switches on your Steam Deck?
Could do, but
you scratched that as well.
This is nothing. Yeah.
You're a clumsy motherfucker. You know that, Webby, don't you?
Well, the Switch wasn't an accident, but the Steam Deck was, yeah.
Steam Deck was, yeah. Or is it you wanted to break it so you could justify buying the OLED one?
No, I'm not doing that.
That's yeah. So Mario RPG, the next one. The next 3 games, I've actually finished them.
Whoa,
so that's pretty good. Well, no, I've actually. I mean, I looked on my list like what I've played on Twitch, as well as other stuff. I've actually completed 17 games last year that didn't come out last year. I finished like that. Plus, obviously, Ragnarok I finished. Games that came out late last year. Like I say, Cyberpunk. Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core.
Yeah.
Plus, like loads of like Zelda Breath of the Wild. I finally finished that. So a lot of these like long, big games I have finished. So I am playing games. It's just I'm not playing like all the brand new games.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
I've just got so many. I'm one of these where every year, like, it's like, right, that's it. I'm not buying any more games this year. Obviously, apart from Final Fantasy VII Remake 2, but no more games. That's it. I'm not buying any more. And we're on the 7th of January, and I've already bought 5 off eBay. So, yeah, I can't stop it, mate.
Who doesn't have, like, a mighty backlog?
Yeah, I know.
I've got a back room full of games. I'm up to 850. So that's just physical games. But I'll play them all eventually. I mean, maybe for 10 minutes, and then but I will play them all eventually. I think I've done maybe half of them. But anyway, this is a game. Like I said, we don't like remakes, but I've got another remake coming. Dead Space remake.
Decent, mate. It is good.
Yeah. I mean, I played it on the Game Pass, which was good because I technically didn't have to pay for it. And then even after I've finished it, I saw it for sale on Amazon for $5. So I thought, fuck it, I'll buy it because I'm an idiot. Well, it's $5, wasn't it? So you got But I think it's a really good game. I wish I'd played it back in the day because being a Resident Evil fan, this is such my type of game.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I did. I mean, I've got them all. I don't know if I've got them all. I think I've got the first one on disc, and I've got the 360 1, 2, and 3 on digital. And I was actually like going to play that game, the first one next when they announced like the remakes. I thought, I might as well wait for that. But yeah, played through this, like really enjoyed it. Like I said, a lot of people say it's a really good remake. I enjoyed it, and I don't know if they're going to remake the rest of them, but I don't.
It wouldn't surprise me if they. Well, they might do.
I don't know if it's sold very well though. That's why they're practically giving it away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think, like I said, probably because it's on Game Pass as well, and I think it's coming to the PlayStation Plus thingy as well soon.
Okay, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, pretty good game. So, yeah, number 3. So, number 2.
Number 2.
I'll say this was close. It wasn't that close. Final Fantasy 16.
Yay!
Yeah. Another number 2. It didn't get to number 1. But yeah, I like this. I mean, like I say, music fantastic. The graphics were really good. And the only problem is because I had a lot of stuff on and I was like going away. Like I stopped playing it for about nearly 2 months, and that like picked it up again. So that probably didn't help, my overall, well, I say, enjoyment of the game, which I did enjoy. It's just like I said, when I went back to it, I just forgot half of the characters.
Yeah.
And like towards the end, it's like this character turned up. I was like, "Great, who are you?" I didn't know I had a brother. I was like, I've got a clue what's going on. I just enjoyed what it was. Like the fights, I forgot what they're called now. Are they called icons?
Yeah, the icon battles. Yeah.
Like where you're fighting those guys, like you fight the big guy in the volcano, and the like rock music comes on and things like that. I thought, oh, that's awesome. I actually stopped the game and like reloaded the last save to play that bit again.
Nice.
Yeah, but like I said, enjoyed that. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as 15.
Oh, insults.
Yeah, but I was just saying, but 15, I knew what I was getting. I played the demo and I got it, and I just smashed that all out. I mean, we both did, didn't we? Because that came out, just before Christmas?
Well, the thing is with 15, like Darren, you say, but the lead up to 15, I feel it was so much better than 16 because, like with 15,
the movie as well.
I went to the cinema and watched the movie before the game came out.
Then you had to watch an animated series of short.
Love that. I watched all that.
Bother to fill the story in with like actual in the game itself. You had to watch external sources to get the full story. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind all of that, but it did add to the detriment of the game. And then the magic system in the game was fucking dog shit.
It was kind of pointless.
And then also after I completed it, they fucking patched it and made one of the levels easier. I was
Not only that, they patched in all the that was the level, the 13, when they took all your stuff away. You were on your own. I think I want to say 13, but also they patched in loads of FMVs and cutscenes from the movies and the stuff to flesh out what was happening at the start.
Yeah,
like I said, years later, I got the the Royal Edition on Xbox, because originally I got it on the PS4 Pro. So I played that first. I was like, I can't remember that bit at all. And then you had the DLC, where the lads, one of them would like disappear and he'd come back and he'd got like a big scar on his face. And I'm like, where'd you go, mate? Oh, don't worry about that. You'll find out one day if you buy the DLC. I don't know if he actually said if you buy the DLC, but that's pretty much what happened. But obviously the Royal Edition, you just go off and do that. So it kind of links in a lot better. So, but then, I mean, we're now talking about Cyberpunk, another game that was trash when it came out, and they fixed and patched and added stuff to that to make that a really good game. And what's that? 3-4 years later?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But yeah, I like it. But like I said, I don't know if I'd ever play 16 again, but I'm really itching to play like 8 and 9 again and things like that. So that's what's weird. I'd rather go back and play a PS1 game than I would a PS5 game.
But no, 16, though, just getting back onto it was, I know I mentioned it already with Darren's, but fucking amazing game. And
yeah, but I think that was just what I expected. It didn't blow me away in other ways that I wanted it to. It's like, oh, well, yeah, that's a Final Fantasy game, I suppose. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah,
it's one of those. I will say it's also, I think, going to be another one of those ones where it was like it came out in the wrong year.
Yeah,
I think it's probably been nudged out by at least one or two games for a lot of people, just because of like for certain games that people really enjoyed this year, it just bumped it down.
Yeah, and bringing it out sort of in between remake part 1 and part 2 type thing as well. It's like people are like really want Final Fantasy VII Remake 2, and then to bring that out, I think that like remake part 2 will outsell this by like probably 3 or 4 to 1. But I don't know. Plus, like I said, this was only on PS5 as well, whereas 15 was on everything. But yeah, not bad. Yeah, but number 1, the official bestest game of 2023, Resi 4 remake.
Why am I not surprised?
Look, that's my Resi games in it, and
Yeah.
obviously because I played the Separate Ways DLC as well. Which is it cheeky for them to not give that to you as part of the main story and sell it back to you for £8? Probably, but then that's what they did. I mean, like I said, I bought the GameCube version, and then a year later, even though they said that's exclusive to GameCube and it's never coming out on anything, guess what? They brought it out on PS2 a year later, and that's where they put the Separate Ways DLC. So I pretty much had to buy the game again on PS2 to get that DLC. So I bought the whole thing again. So
I remember playing the Ada DLC on the GameCube.
Yeah,
that's the only one I have it on.
No, it wasn't like from standard. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Unless my memory's playing tricks on me. Maybe I can't remember there being a. Well, anyway, that doesn't really matter. But like I said, I played it, enjoyed it. But like I say, Resi 4 is like my second least favourite Resi game after 5. Because, like I said, it just. I understand what it did. They made it more actiony. They changed up the camera angles and stuff like that. But the controls were just awful. And I know they wanted them to be awful to like create suspense and stuff like that. But it just didn't. It just felt clunky to me. And all the HD ports that they've made since the GameCube version, while they look better, they just seem to just irritate me even more. Like they put that adaptive difficulty where for some reason I get 2 to 3 hours into the game, and because I'm either doing really well at the game, they reduce, like all the item drops from the enemies and the barrels.
Or a zombie can all of a sudden take like 8 fucking headshots and it's still coming at you, and you're like, alright,
yeah. Basically, I get to the. I've tried to stream it like 3 or 4 times in the last 5 years on Twitch. I always get up to the same area, and it's the same bit. And I was like, I have no health, I have no ammo, I've now killed all these enemies, and nobody's dropping anything. And I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do, because it's unlike a lot of the originals. You can't really avoid the enemies as much as you could in the original, because a lot of them you have to kill all the enemies for it to load up the next part of the game, like the FMV and stuff like that. Or whereas like in a lot of the older ones, you could just run past them and go into the next room, unless it was a boss, if you see what I mean. But whereas, like I say, in this one, it's just like, whereas in the remake, they just fixed all that. You could, controls like the more modern games, you can walk and shoot. The graphics were good, the sound was good, the puzzles were fun and superb as well. But yeah, I think that's worthy of Game of the Year. And I don't know what Capcom are doing this year. They keep saying, oh, they're bringing out this in March. I can't see them bringing out a game in March with no publicity of letting you know. It wouldn't surprise me if they took a year off. Or they'll just bring out a multi-pack of something years old. Yeah, so that's my top 7, not 8, because
well done.
Valhalla doesn't count.
I will say I've still yet to try the VR mode.
Yeah, I just don't want VR. Just not interested.
Dingles, mate.
I got a headset with my Samsung something phone years ago, and obviously that's no good compared to this. I don't want to sit in my house with a weird headset on and then take it off and look and realise I've been robbed. Maybe in like 20 years' time when the technology's so good, but I don't know. Yeah, so that's me done.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll play more than 7 next year.
Right, well, let's get to the proper top 10 then, the only one that counts. Lols.
Are we doing 47 honourable mentions first?
I've got 8 honourable mentions, but I feel if I did my honourable mentions before the top 10, it would spoil it. So,
all right.
Top 10, and then we'll do all our honourable mentions, and then I'll read out all the community ones and the tallies and the ultimate community game of the year, etc., etc. All good? Let's go. Number 10 is a game that no one's mentioned yet on the podcast, and that is Remnant 2.
See, I need to put more time into this. It's a game that I'm planning on playing through with a friend.
Yeah. It's a game that was on my radar when it came out. Obviously, I never purchased it. And then it came to Game Pass. And the thing is, right, about a week before it came to Game Pass, I was going to buy it because it was on sale. And I was saying to myself, every game that's on a deep sale on Xbox always comes onto Game Pass a short while after. And I was proved correct the following week. Now, the good thing about Remnant 2, even though I didn't play really with anyone, and I've helped Peebs out a bit, is obviously it's not cross-play. However, if on Game Pass, you can play cross-play on Game Pass PC with Xbox users, which is handy if you do want to play it like that. I absolutely love this game. I thought it was fantastic. Now, I was really lucky because when I picked it up, obviously a lot of people were playing it because it had only just come out. So I would open my game up to the public, and my game would be filled up with 2 more people quite quickly. So I always had a team of 3 people running through the levels, which was really good. And that made the game so much easier because the bosses are fucking hard on your own, I think. So I think, because we, like, with 3 people, we struggled. But also the other way I played it was I would play it on my Steam Deck with the cloud streaming. But the way I would do that was I'd just jump into other people's random games just to level up. So I pumped a lot of hours into it. And I just loved it because I love the style, because it's like kind of a Dark Souls-y type game, but with guns. Yeah, and it is easier. It's a lot easier, I would say, than a Dark Souls game, but it just has that fantastical feel about it because you travel through this crystal thing to different worlds, I would say, like dimensions, and they're all completely different. Like, you've got one that reminds me of Bloodborne in the city, then you've got like one in a desert, you've got like a forest place, etc., etc. And the game is really fucking weird as well, and I really like that. And also, what I find with the bosses is they're all completely different. You need to learn their move sets, etc., and that just made it an enjoyable experience for me. Part of me wishes that I'd had a couple of people from the community to play it with, but like a few people on the Discord were like, "I've only got it on PlayStation, and obviously it's not cross-play," which was a little bit of a downer. Which is why it's at number 10, because I think if it was proper cross-play, I would have had a better experience with it, playing it with people I know. But because of that, it got knocked down to number 10 because I still really enjoyed it, but it was all with randoms, which was a little bit annoying. But you can't have it all, right? So yeah, that's my number 10. Number 9, it's a little bit of a cheat, but Darren's already put it in his, so it's okay. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty at number 9. I'm not really going to go over it because we've already talked about it earlier, but I just want to say I fucking loved it. I thought Idris Elba was awesome in it. I really dug the story, and I really like the improvements that they did to the overall game as well. So, yes, I know it's cheating a little bit because it's DLC, but it is kind of its own game in its own right. It's really long.
Is it? Yeah, it's hard, really, because you get stuff that's the DLC, but then you'll get other stuff that almost feels more like an expansion. And I'd say, like, Phantom Liberty was an expansion.
Yeah. It felt like it, because it felt like its own thing. And it just gave me an excuse to go back into that world. And I just loved it. So that's number 9. I'm going through these pretty quick. Number 8 is a game that no one's mentioned as well. Yakuza, The Man Who Erased His Name.
See, I have both Yakuzas that came out this year in kind of like a they're in a pile of shame. But
Yeah.
I've no doubt they're both amazing games that would have been on a top 10 list
Yeah.
for sure.
Now, Ishin is the other one that came out this year, and I did play it, but not enough to put it in a list because I only put about 4 or 5 hours in and then kind of fell off it because I like the mainline Yakuza games, like the modern day ones. I know Ishin is kind of old, the olden days of Japan, etc. I mean, it's well
Is that
done.
the JRPG one?
No,
That's like a dragon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is Ishin like that one? And
No.
No.
yeah.
Which one is the next one like that? Or is
So-
that only the first one?
That was the first one like that.
Yeah, and the new one's out in a couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, yeah.
So, okay, so this game isn't actually called Yakuza, the man who raised his name. It's actually called Like a Dragon, the man who raised his name.
Yeah, they've changed the Yakuza title to Like a Dragon.
So they're not called Yakuzas anymore. So I do need to get used to that.
I still categorise them alphabetically in the Yakuza section, though,
Yeah,
because they are Yakuza games.
Yeah. Now, so this is a very recent addition because I actually only completed the game last week, and I absolutely loved it. I thought, it's not a full-length title, if that makes sense. I think it took me, I can't remember how long it took me now, but it wasn't like a 20-plus hour game, if that makes sense, because they're normally really long, where this is kind of a shorter, like, mid-game between, it's basically set after Yakuza 6, Song of Life, and in between that and the new Infinite Wealth that's coming out in a couple of weeks. Because the last Like a Dragon game you play as this new character, and only him, whereas in the new one that's coming out in a few weeks, like, this is the step between this and the next game, because in the next game you play as the new guy and the main character from the other Yakuza games, Kiryu. So it's really cool because I thought Yakuza 6 Song of Life would be the end of Kiryu's story, and that's what they were going to say, but this kind of, I mean, this is minor spoiler if you've not played the other games, and it kind of brings him back and stuff that happens after, and it's that bridge between games. And it's really well done. I mean, there's a lot of side content as well, but the main story is just a lot of fun, very enjoyable. Now, what I will say is the main area of exploration in this game is a lot smaller than the previous titles as well. But that's because it's a short story and it has it's hard to say without spoiling the story, but it has a big plot points as to the reasons why, which are really funny and well done. Like in that silly, like it's serious, like all the other Yakuza games, but it has that big element of silliness to it as well, if that makes sense. Because Kiryu's kind of, he doesn't want anyone to know who he is, and his disguise is just a pair of sunglasses, and everyone sees right through it, and it's just comical. So yeah, absolutely loved it. And also, when I completed The Man Who Raised His Name, it unlocked a demo for Infinite Wealth. So I played through the demo of that, and fucking awesome.
Did you play this on Game Pass?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, on Game Pass, yeah. Now, Infinite Wealth is not coming to Game Pass.
I thought it was.
Nope. It's not coming to Game Pass. So I read an article last week about this, and they've said that they put all the other Yakuza games onto Game Pass because they wanted to get people into the series on the Xbox so they would have more customers, if that makes sense. It's just kind of like, the drug dealer, like giving you a free hit before giving you, making you pay for the stuff. And now they said they're not going to put any more of the games onto Game Pass. So, I'm kind of
obviously, Like a Dragon obviously hit Game Pass, didn't it? Pretty much the day it got the next gen thingy, because it had been on PS4, but when it come to PS5 and Xbox, it was like Game Pass day one.
Yeah. So this is getting people into it, from what the dev team have said. So, and this is why I'm kind of on the fence as to, I mean, I love the Yakuza games, but I'm kind of on the fence whether to buy this day one or not, because obviously we've got quite a busy February of games.
Oh, like,
So-
I think I was speaking to my mate earlier, and between now and like the end of March, there's like 10 games I want.
Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So, yeah, some games are going to have to fall by the wayside and wait till either they hit Game Pass or just wait for a sale, I think, because I just can't physically afford to be buying all these fucking games. So that's just it. So something's going to have to fall by the wayside. And I think Yakuza, at the minute, because I've recently played through this one, I can wait a little bit, you know?
Yeah, have a little break.
Yeah. So and then you know what these devs are like. They'll say, "Oh, it's not going to come onto Game Pass." Then fucking 6 months later, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's on Game Pass now." So we shall see. Anyway, I'm going to move on because I don't want to keep people waiting for all day. Number 7, no surprises at all here. Diablo 4.
Oh, nice. It was the same place as mine, wasn't it? Well, no, mine was 6. So this is a place lower down for you.
Yeah. So we've already talked about it earlier, so I'm just going to move on to number 6. So number 6 is a brand new entry, a game I've only picked up last week, and it is fucking amazing. It really is amazing. Like my top 6, I struggled with through most of them where to place them because they're all fucking amazing games in my opinion. Number 6 is a game that everyone needs to play. I don't care who you are, old, young, fucking whatever you're into. This game is fucking awesome. Talos Principle 2.
I've heard of it.
I am loving it. It came out, I think, a few months back. It's only 25 quid. So it's not like it's going to break the bank. So I picked up on Xbox. I think it's 20 quid on PC. But I picked up on Xbox because I love puzzle games, and it's just nice. It's a game I can play when the kids are in the front room and the missus is there as well. And that's how I've been playing it. So I've been playing it, and Marcus and my missus have been helping me out with the puzzles, which is really cool. So it's kind of like the way I would describe it. This is what I was going to say, Darren. The way I would describe it is kind of a modern day Myst, but with an actual proper story as well. So you're playing as this robot, and it's basically the human race has been, has gone extinct, but these robots call themselves humans because these robots are what the humans left behind. And it's kind of very mystical with like a lot of like old gods and stuff like that in it. And there's kind of the story of, you are the 1,000 robot to be born. And it's kind of like where the robot, the human race is going to go from here. And then some stuff happens and then you travel to this island, and it's all these puzzles with that you need to solve to like enter this big pyramid thing, and stuff happens. And it's just, one, the graphics are amazing, absolutely stunning. 2, it feels very grandiose, like all the very big structures, very big open areas to explore, which is really cool. Loads of story and text and history, etc., which I've spent ages reading. The conversations between, because there's a crew of you that travel to this island, and they're always chatting to each other, you and this crew, like on like radio comms, and the conversations feel very natural, all really well done. It's just really sucked me into that world. And then you've got all these puzzles to solve, and they're all very different, all using different things. And it's just, some of them you will solve quite easily. You'll be like, oh yeah, and that was a piece of piss. And then you'll get to the next one, you'll be like, what the fuck? And like some of these puzzles have taken me well over an hour to solve. Really have. Just been very mind-bending. And the way I've been playing it, because I've kind of tried my best to stay away from YouTube guides and stuff, because like I want to play it properly. So the way I found is like if I get really stuck, I'll like turn it off, go and like put the kids to bed or something, and then come back a couple of hours later, and then and then all of a sudden, like after 5 minutes, I'll be like, oh, what if I try this? I'll be like, oh yeah, sort of, it's just it's one of them things, So it is such a good game. It really, really is. And it's just, I think it would be perfect for Game Pass. I really do. But, as I say, it's cheap. I think the original game was on Game Pass for a while because I remember briefly playing it and then I checked my achievements and I got one achievement on it and it's not on Game Pass and I don't own it. So it's obviously been on Game Pass and come off again.
Right.
But from what I was reading online, like number 2 is vastly superior. So, and it's fucking brilliant. So I just want to get the word out to people that this game is out there and it is fucking amazing. So that is my number 6. All right, let's go to number 5. The top 5, the meat and potatoes, as Darren would say. Number 5, none of these games are going to be surprises, to be fair, but some people might be surprised at where this game has placed on my list. Number 5 is Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh.
And you'll know what, I love this game. I thought it was absolutely amazing. My missus has been playing it this week, so I've been helping her out with some of the puzzles and stuff. So, again, the game is still quite fresh to me because I've been helping my missus play it. This game has been huge in my household. I've completed it. I've put about 80 to 90 hours into it. My missus has been playing it. My son has got his own game going on it. He's put about 20 odd hours into it himself. So this game has kind of been a constant on our TV in our living room last year. And it would have been higher on the list, but the other games have been fucking amazing as well. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter anyway. I love the movies. I love the books. But I think what they did with the game, and by the way, it's the best-selling game of the year, I believe, as well. So that just goes to show something.
Call of Duty, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
It has a huge fan base, and I think what they did with the world was really make it come alive. I think they did a really good job with it.
The only complaint I've ever heard anyone really have with it is the combat can feel a little bit samey.
Yeah,
that's it. Everything else, like the immersion, the graphics, the presentation, everything is just like spot on.
It really, really is. And the combat is a little bit annoying because you've got, your spells and just hold down your right trigger and then use your face buttons and you've got to move between, you use your D-pad to change between the different ones, and it's just a little bit fiddly. But just the world is just comes alive and it's just so well done. Like Hogwarts itself, the school is just, there's so much detail there. And same with the world. You've got Hogsmeade and the rest of the area and the world. It's just absolutely stunning. And the exploration only gets better once you get your broomstick. You can fly around. And there's just so much to see and do. You normally get sick of all the side stuff. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. I thought it was really well done.
If it's done well, you seek it out rather than avoid it. It's less of a chore and more of what adventure is this I'm now going to be taken off onto.
Yeah, and it's not just the collectibles. It was the actual side quests with the characters your school chums were really good stories on their own. So you just wanted to see them through to the end. I just think the game is just absolutely amazing and really worthy of a top 5 position. Just because it looks like it felt to me that a lot of love was put into making that game. So, yeah, and it makes me chuckle that the backlash had no effect at all. Lols. So, yeah, it was a great game and one that's still being played on my Xbox today. So, yeah, great game. Okay, number 4. and I think everyone's going to be surprised at where this has hit because I've been raving about this game all year. Alan Wake 2.
Wow, yeah, I was expecting this to be top 2.
Yeah, and I was this was at one point. At one point, this was kind of like I was umming and ahhing about putting this at number 1. I really was. But when I sat down and made my list and was thinking about my games that I've enjoyed, yes, I loved Alan Wake 2. I think it's an amazing game, but I feel like I had more enjoyment out of my top 3, which is why it's not in my top 3. But Alan Wake 2, it's a game that I never thought would come. You know, it's been over 10 years since the original game. And, you know, and everyone knows that Alan Wake, the original, was one of my favourite games ever. And Alan Wake 2 is a great game. Don't get me wrong. But one of the things I will say is I feel that you really needed to have played Control to get the full understanding of what's happening in Alan Wake 2. If you've played it, you'll know what I mean. I'm not going to give any spoilers for those of you that haven't played it. And the other thing is, yes, it's a great game, but I felt like Alan was a little bit more of a side character than a main character in this game, because all the cool stuff, all the, you know, I felt like was given to Saga, which is the FBI agent, because all of Alan's gameplay is set in the dark place in this kind of fictional New York, whereas as Saga, you're exploring, you know, Bright Falls and visiting all those iconic areas from the original game, and I just would have, I don't know, it's just a personal thing. I just think it would have been cool playing more as Alan in those locations. And I think the game relied a lot on jump scares as well. I mean, I think it would have done better if it was just more eerie and less in your face, if that makes sense. Because I found some of the combat sections just a little bit annoying. But what I will say is I'm glad that the characters don't run out of breath after 2 fucking seconds. And I will say that blend of like movie and game is done really well in this. Like, there's a specific level that I've referenced in the Discord quite a lot, and it's a music level. It's like a music video level, and it's done really well. Really, really is. So, you know, the fact it's at number 4 does not detract from what a great game it is. It is fucking amazing.
Is that the song they done at the Game Awards?
Yes, it is. Yeah, but yeah, you know, I think it's. I can't really say anything else without spoiling it. It's a great game, and I've just found it weird. I've also always found it weird that the director Sam Lake like puts himself in all his games as well. I just find that a bit weird. I don't know what it is. I think it's like he loves himself a bit too much. But yeah, it's a great game. I recommend everyone play it. Oh, and the other negative, I will say, it didn't come out physical, so Darren didn't play it. So,
or me,
or Nick. So, you know, that's a little bit frustrating. But yeah, it's a great game, and I recommend people play it if they're happy to buy digital. Yeah, that's my number 4. Cool. Number 3 then. Final Fantasy 16.
Ooh.
Number 3.
Yeah. I know your top 2 now.
So, Final Fantasy 16, we've already mentioned it, so I'm not going to hash over it, but I just want to say, great game, loved it. I love the medieval setting, Game of Thrones style, excellent game, and I can't wait for the DLC come summer. That's all I'm going to say. Number 2. This game has not been mentioned, and I don't think many people have actually played this game, to be honest. But it's amazing. I actually kickstarted this as well, and it hit Game Pass, which did annoy me a little bit. I have no Chivos on it because I actually played it 99% through on my Steam Deck because I got the code through, the Kickstarter. And that game is Sea of Stars, which I don't think many people have played. And, an amazing experience for me from start to finish. I love my retro kind of RPGs. It's kind of a 16-bit style, kind of like Chrono Trigger. And it's just the love that you put into this game. I just was in awe playing it. There's literally not one negative I can think of in this game. The music was just to die for. The combat, I loved it. I loved the combat because it was turn-based, but they twisted it slightly with the turn taking. They had like these little symbols on top of the characters' heads, and you could actually make it so their turn would go back by doing certain actions, etc. And there's just so much exploration to do in the world. So many hidden things. It actually, when certain things happened in the game, I actually got a little bit emotional because I was so invested in the characters. I don't think this game was talked enough by the gaming community in 2023, and it's a damn shame because it was fucking amazing. Absolutely love Sea of Stars. And if you've got Game Pass or PS Plus, because it's on both, fucking play it. It is amazing. Absolutely amazing. As I say, especially if you love your old school JRPGs. Sorry, Darren?
Yeah, there was a lot. I was going to say there was a lot of talk about it on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
People were bigging
Excellent.
It up quite a lot.
Yeah. It was just fucking brilliant. It really was. And if my number one hadn't come out last year, it probably would have been at number one, to be fair. Yeah, absolutely great game, and I implore people to play it. As I say, especially if you're a fan of old school JRPGs, you'll love it. Absolutely love it. And I think the other reason why I loved it so much is because it was a perfect fit for my Steam Deck, which was, if there was a category for best gaming purchase every year, that'll go to the Steam Deck for me because. I don't normally play a lot of handhelds, but this has really opened me up to playing handhelds. I literally play my Steam Deck every day. Every day I play it. I'll just sit on the sofa in an evening and play it for about an hour, various different games. Because I've got a whole massive Steam library at my fingertips. And with Sea of Stars, it's a perfect game for a handheld, and I was playing it on the sofa. I was playing it in the car, while I was waiting to pick up the kids from their clubs, etc. I was just constantly playing it on it, and it was just fucking brilliant. So, yeah, that's my number two. Number one is going to be no surprise to anybody. Probably go down as the game of the generation, to be honest. It's that good. Baldur's Gate 3.
I knew that'd be there.
Yeah, it is fucking amazing. I mean, I've not played it as much as Sly. I mean, he's probably put about 200 hours in it now. I think it's on his fourth playthrough or something.
What did you play it on?
There's so much weird stuff
PC.
in doing it.
Yeah. I just look at that and I just think it doesn't play on console properly because of all the menus and stuff. Every time I see
it works fine on the controller.
I don't know.
So I actually, because I played it quite a bit on my Steam Deck as well, and it runs fine on that, and you obviously use the controller there. It's fine. Elliot's got it on Xbox and PC, and he's not had any grumblings about it on the Xbox. It's been I think it's been about 20 years since the last Baldur's Gate game. So obviously it's been a long time. And I played Larian Studios' other games and thought they were okay, but I really got into this. I just absolutely loved it. The story was just amazing. just the randomness of everything that can happen, because you can have, you can like just not have party members join you, because you can just when you meet them, you can fucking kill them. And just think of all that content that you would miss. All those voiced lines, etc. It's just so much going on in it. And the randomness, because it is a proper kind of Dungeons and Dragons with the dice rolling. You have your D20 in the game for for a lot of actions within the game, and then obviously if you don't get a favourable dice roll, bad shit goes down. And it took me a while to get into it, to be honest. And I did, like, very early on in the game, I got stuck. And I died a lot at a certain section, but then I kind of figured it out. But there's just so many ways to play the game. And I think it's like the first game for me in a long, long time where as soon as I completed it, I made a new character and started a second playthrough. Because there's just so much randomness to it, and there is that replayability to it because of the randomness. Because you can do like whole sections of the game completely different, have different characters join you in your camp. You can make a different character, romance different people, have whole storylines alter. There's so much to this game. There really is. That the locations are stunning. I mean, I will say I didn't really like Act 2 loads because of the location, but Act 1 and 3 were fucking brilliant. Again, it's because it's such a story-focused game. There isn't loads you can really like talk about it without spoiling it. But boss type fights were epic. The characters are all really good. You got the romance in there. The voice dialogue's amazing. The music's amazing. Just that exploration and that randomness. It just feels like when I was playing it, I felt like I was on an epic adventure. And I was playing my game, like how I wanted to do it. And because. And that's because there's just there's a massive degree of just that flexibility to it. Like, just play it how you want, do what you want, reap what you sow. If you kill some dude and you get the repercussions later, or later you find out that could have been like an epic party mate or something like that. And it just goes to show. I mean, this has been in our Discord the most talked about game, I would say, this year. Like, normally a game comes out and the chat on that in that specific channel dies out within a month, whereas this game is like the chat is still going. I think that helped a little bit since the Xbox version didn't come out till December, but still, it's like everyone's talking about what they did in this scenario, what characters they've got, etc. It's just an epic experience. It really, really is. And it's kind of it gave me that feeling of kind of how I felt when I played Skyrim, that level of openness and just that awe and wonder. That's the kind of that feeling I got with Baldur's Gate, to be fair. So, yeah, man. Great game and a must play. And I think a physical version is coming out of it as well on console. So
early this year. I will definitely be picking it up at some point when I can get hold of a copy.
Good man. Cool. That's my top 10. Right, I'm just going to run through the honourable mentions. If you have any other honourable mentions, guys, feel free to shout them out in a moment, and then we'll go through the community stuff. Okay. So, honourable mentions for me: Resident Evil 4, great game. We've already talked about it, but yeah, great game. Street Fighter 6, Dead Space Remake, Dead Island 2, Starfield. Now, I do think people might have been shocked I didn't have it in my top 10.
I had Starfield in an honourable mention still.
Yeah. really good game for Nick, and especially he loved it. Uh, RoboCop,
Yeah, on Robocop Robe City.
fucking awesome game, but yeah, just squeezed out of the top 10. Lies of P, which I think is great, and I'm gonna have to give Forza an honourable mention just because, yes, it launched like a bag of shit. It still crashes all the fucking time, but it's still a lot of fun online. But it could not be in a top 10 because of all the problems it still has. That's it. Anything else from you guys? Honourable mentions? No?
I've got
No.
one. I mean, it's a fan game, so it's not an actual official release, so anyone can play it if they download it at Shenmue Dojo. It's
Yeah.
a Shenmue fan game, Dreams of Saturn,
Okay.
which is kind of fun. I mean, it's like I say, it's a fan game made in Unity, but he's used lots of the assets from the original game. I think it's set like a year before the first game.
Okay.
So his dad's about, and you run around in like a first person. You can jump up on top of the buildings. It's just a fun little cheat game. It's only like 3 gig as well, and it's actually
nice.
done well in the Shenmue community. It's like I say, I don't know if you could. Well, you can play it now, but it's set at Christmas as well, so you have to explore like all the place from Shenmue 1 and collect like little Father Christmas toys.
Oh, right.
It's basically Robotnik, but they're painted like Father Christmas over his skin type thing to make him look like Father Christmas. But it's been like a lot of people have been playing that who like Shenmue, like because like all of us lot on Twitch sort of follow each other, and that came out just before Christmas, and yeah, that's pretty fun.
Oh,
Cool. Okay. Shall we go to the community ones?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm going to read these out as quick as I can, so bear with me. And also, it's all in the Game of the Year chat on Discord, and people decided to have massive conversations in that same fucking forum. So I'm going to have to skip past all the conversations to find more top fives as I go along as well. But I'm going to do Stunties first. He sent it to me on WhatsApp. He only has a top 3 because that's all he's played. So going from 3 to 1, RoboCop, Hogwarts, and Under the Waves.
Oh, yeah.
I've not played that Under the Waves. I've not really seen much about that, so it might be one to check out. Cool. Okay. What's my tag? Only has a top 4. Cyberpunk, Dead Space, Aliens Dark Descent. Was that last year?
Yeah, no, it's this year, I think so. It's the RTS one, isn't it? I think.
Right, yeah. And his number 1 was Spider-Man 2.
Fair.
Okay. Darkest Frost only has a top 4. What's going on with you? Call yourselves hardcore gamers, people. Come on. Starfield, Diablo 4, Dead Island 2, Hogwarts Legacy.
Dead Island 2 in there as well.
Nice. Okay. Sly Almond did his a little bit differently. His disappointment of the year was Starfield. His DLC of the year was Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. And here goes his top 5, going from 5 to 1. Spider-Man 2. At number 4, Dead Island 2. At number 3, Hogwarts Legacy. At number 2, Alan Wake 2. And at number 1, Baldur's Gate 3. Nice. D-Twin, going from 5 to 1. Dead Island 2. Hogwarts Legacy. Remnant 2. Resident Evil 4 Remake. And at number 1, Baldur's Gate 3. We go. See that Baldur's Gate is up there for a lot of people.
There's a lot of repeating sort of top known games of the year.
Yeah. Wes only played one new game last year, and that's his number one. That's Baldur's Gate 3. Lols.
Good enough. It skipped everything else, just went straight to the number one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Turner. He has an honourable mention, first of all, which is Star Wars Jedi Survivor,
Oh,
which I didn't like because it ran like shit, but hey ho. Okay, so from 5 to 1, Remnant 2. I see that Remnant 2's in quite a few lists here. Spider Man 2, a Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, Alan Wake 2, and number 1, Baldur's Gate 3. There we go. Okay, Gavlar, top 5 goes like this: Hogwarts, Jusant. Now, Jusant's like a. It's on Game Pass, and it's kind of like you climb this mountain. It's quite good. Number 3, Forza Motorsport. Number 2, Starfield. And at number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Why am I not surprised that Call of Duty's up there for him? Lols. Okay, Leonardo. Diablo 4. Starfield. Final Fantasy 16. Hogwarts Legacy. And at number 1, Baldur's Gate 3. We're getting a bit of a pattern here, aren't we, guys? Okay, Clarky. Robocop. Cocoon. Gisant. Starfield. And at number 1, Hogwarts Legacy. Here we go. Mr. Jelly. Final Fantasy 16. Blasphemous 2.
Blasphemous.
Blasphemous. Diablo 4. Spider-Man 2. And at number 1, Dead Space. Interesting. Rooski Doo. Headbangers Rhythm Royale. Hi-Fi Rush. Coffee Golf. Starfield. And a number 1, Cocoon. Random games there.
What is Coffee Golf? That sounds kind of
That's a phone game.
Oh, it makes sense then. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, Dragon 421. Stray Blade. What the fuck is that? I've never heard of that one. Need to look that up. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Dead Island 2. Starfield, and at number 1, the ultimate game, Hogwarts Legacy. There we go. Woohoo! Where are we? Mr. Peebs has a top 5. Are you ready for this? Starfield, Dead Island 2,
Nice.
Dead Space, Resident Evil 4, and his number 1 game, Lies of P.
Good man.
Yeah, I think that was he talked about that most. The game he talked about most on our WhatsApp group this year. Okay, Mellafella, Lies of P. Sea of Stars at number 4. Excellent, good choice there, Mella. Redfall, bad choice.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a one.
Cocoon.
Waiting for Peggle 2.
Yeah, Cocoon at number 2, and at number 1, Fortnite Lego. You're allowed. Yeah, you're allowed to have that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my boy have been playing that a lot the last few weeks. It's good. And his pure shite games of the year, in his words, are Starfield and Modern Warfare 3. Lols. Someone to scroll through a load of chat. So just give me a second, see if there's any more. I think we might have got to the end. Oh, no, I went past Theo Kane there. Theo Kane, Hogwarts, Remnant 2, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, Alan Wake 2, and Baldur's Gate 3. There we go. Definitely a theme, isn't there?
A lot of people including Cyberpunk in there, and
Yeah. Hetero's only played 2 games out from 2023, and so I'm going to go from 2 to 1. Number 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and at number 1, Diablo 4. And Peebs' honourable mentions are RoboCop and Alan Wake 2. Right, I'm going to just do the community. There's a spreadsheet that was done by What's My Tag. So big thank you to you. So I'm just going to bring that up. And okay, so the community. So I'll go just do the top. So I'll just do the top 5. So the top 5 from 360 Gamer Cars. I'm going to go from 1 to 5 because it's really hard to read this fucking graph. Okay, so number 1, Community Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3. No big surprise there. Number 2, Community Game of the Year was Hogwarts Legacy. Wow. The number 3 Community Game of the Year is Starfield. Wow. It beat the number 4 Community Game of the Year, which is Alan Wake 2. And the number 5 Community Game of the Year, surprisingly, Dead Island 2.
nice.
So there's your top 5, everybody. Interesting indeed. And that is the Game of the Year 2023 360 Gamercast. Epic. So I think we can all agree that most people chose Baldur's Gate 3 as the ultimate Game of the Year 2023. Well done to Baldur's Gate 3. Woohoo! That's all we can say about that. And you guys missed out because you won't buy digital games.
That's fine. I've had loads of stuff to keep me entertained this year as it is.
I know.
I think you find they missed out.
Well, looking at our community, I will say I think they're getting old. And I say this because the amount of games people are playing every year is going down every year. And 2020, I know, it's like they've got families and shit. I mean, come on. And, 2023, as we all know, was a really busy year for good quality games. Probably one of the best years we've had for a while. And it really shocked me seeing people who'd only played, say, 2 or 3 games that had come out in 2023. It just boggles my mind.
Well, maybe they're people that have been catching up on backlogs and stuff as well.
I know.
I've got some games sat here that are probably cracking, like Tales into Reverie and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I haven't played, obviously, like a Dragon Gaiden, like a Dragon Ishin. I've got Sword Art Online, the new one of them, sat there.
Yeah, I know.
Who I want to get stuck into.
Yeah.
I never really touched Armored Core 6, otherwise that would probably be in my Game of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, I know Darren, like I say, I don't get to game loads, but then like I have 18 games in my Game of the Year, and I'm like, yeah, I think I played a lot of games last year.
Yeah, that and certain games do take a lot of time. I mean,
yeah,
Diablo 4, I probably played that for well over 100+ hours this year, easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. So, yeah, I think I'm going to try and calm it down as much as I can this year, but there's just some games you just have to get day one. You know?
The first 3 months is crazy this year.
Yeah, so like got to get Final Fantasy VII.
That's all I want, really.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else.
I'm really intrigued with that Grand Blue game because that looks cool. I'm looking because it's got co-op as well. And And then obviously we've got Dragon's Dogma 2 in March, which I really want to get.
Which comes out the same day as Rise of Ronin as well, which is the open world samurai game by Koei Tecmo, I think it is.
Oh, bloody hell.
You've got obviously Final Fantasy early beginning of the month, Yakuza end of the month.
Yeah.
Like you said, Granblue Fantasy end of the month.
Yeah.
Melty Blood's coming out in a couple of weeks, as well as obviously Yakuza as well.
Yeah.
What's out on the same day as Dragon's Dogma? Oh, it's the Rise of Ronin, sorry, isn't it? And there's something else out in March as well. It's just like, and then there's obviously other stuff on the horizon as well, a bit further down. There's a few games there I think aren't going to do particularly well coming out in February because they're
It's just
stuck
weird.
in between.
Yeah. It's
You
just
got,
weird that all the good games are coming out early in the year now. It's just odd, isn't it?
Yeah, you got that Justice League Suicide Squad game, haven't you? That's coming out early February. And then, what was the other one that's coming out? Which I think, anyway, carry on while I think of what it is.
Well, that's it, really. Yeah, it's just a lot of good games. I think.
Oh, Skull and Bones.
Fuck that. Yeah.
Great, but you never know. Things can surprise.
Well, not after I've played the beat, like multiple beaters of it, and every time just be like, meh. So, yeah. But no, as Nick said, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, 2, Rebirth as it's called, that's been my most wanted game for a while. So all eyes are on that for me. I think like when that comes out, that's just going to be all I'm going to play. So I'm actually replaying Final Fantasy VII Remake at the minute just to get it fresh in my mind. So yeah, can't wait. Yeah. Cool beans. And on that happy note, I think we should end it, guys. I think we've done well. So I think it was a good starting a bit earlier because it's just about 10 o'clock.
Indeed.
It would have been going till bloody gone 11 if this was like our normal start time. Cool. All right, guys, it's been emotional. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been awesome. Really enjoyed running down our top games of the year. If you're listening and you haven't put your top 10 down, why not put it in the Discord for everyone to hear? So from all of us here, it's been awesome. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.